Hello, everyone. My name is Chavon Anette, and I'm the creator of the Power and Grace Leader Show. I am excited about being up here another week for another amazing interview. I am waiting for Dr. Karen Hills-Pruden to join on with me as we talk about this topic. There have been some technical difficulties, so hopefully she is on with us very soon. But I wanted to go ahead and get started with the talk and with the discussion. So what we're dealing with today is justice for George Floyd, justice for George Floyd. And so what is actually going on? Of course, many of you have seen the video, have heard about what has happened, has been staying up to date with the news, with the different protests, as well as what the president has been saying, what other leaders have been saying. It's really even been amazing to see other Christian leaders stepping up and saying something, protesting, doing what they can do to stand up for what is right in our country, which is America. One of the phrases that I keep saying ever since this has happened is, this is not just a Black problem, this is an American problem. So we're going to be talking about today justice for George Floyd. My aunt is the president of the NAACP Virginia Beach chapter. So I'm really excited to be interviewing her today. As I said before, I'm waiting for her to come back in. So I wanted to share with you all just what's been going on, what I have been doing to get involved, definitely sharing information that has been coming out. As well as something else that I have been doing is I actually went out to protest yesterday, and I was very excited about doing that. That was really big, and I think it's important for us to get involved, for us to be active and not just reactive, not just also saying something, saying that it's wrong, but not actually doing anything about it. And so I'm really excited about the opportunity to get involved with various protests. So yesterday, I'll just tell you what it was like yesterday. Yesterday, it was a peaceful protest. We walked from Burnt Neck Road all the way down to Virginia Beach, the actual ocean front, and we came back up. And on our way back up, we stopped and we actually did a talk with the captain was there, and then later on the chief came up, and we were able to ask them questions and talk with them very briefly. One thing that was big for us was the simple fact that we wanted further discussion. We wanted further meetings after this moment. One thing that the captain said was, right now there's a lot of feelings that's going on. There's a lot of emotions going on. And so we want to make sure that when we have these conversations, it can be productive, which we agree. And so I'm really excited that we have this opportunity to get involved. And so we were, like I said, we were able to do a peaceful protest. We did our chants as we walked down the road. There was a sign that said honk if you agree for people who were riding by. People were honking their horns. People actually joined in to the protest as we were walking down the road. People actually came in and joined in. So that was very powerful and very wonderful. So I'm really excited about this discussion. I'm really excited to talk about someone who we know is very active when it comes to various aspects with African Americans and all ethnicities and cultures in our world. And so I'm really excited for this interview today. So tomorrow, I'll tell you all this. Freddie said, thank you for your contribution in peaceful protesting. Absolutely. That's what it's about. I don't want to cause damage. I don't want to be with the damage. That's not what I'm about. I am more so focused on the peaceful protest. Look, this is something that we need to do. We need to have a discussion. We need to talk this through. We need policies addressed. We need to see what policies are already in place. So it's kind of like it gets you thinking far beyond. And I do want to say kudos and great job for those people who have been doing this for a long time, who have already been doing this for a while. And I'm glad that I can be a part of it. You get to this point where you say enough is enough. And I feel like that's what a lot of people have been saying lately, that enough is enough. Like, we're going to do something about this. And so I'm really excited about that. I'm really excited about working together to make change happen as an African American community, as well as a citizen of the United States of America. And that's what it takes. It takes us getting together. It takes us joining together to make change happen. So I am so excited. I have Dr. Karen Hills Pruden here with us. She is going to allow me to interview her and ask her questions. If you all have questions as we go along, you can put them up here and we'll pose them to Dr. Pruden to see if she can add further insight and perspective into this topic. I do want to say locally, 757 Virginia Beach, there is a protest at Mount Trashmore tomorrow, a peaceful protest. We'll be walking tomorrow at 6:00 p.m. So I'm joining in on that one tomorrow. So here we go. We're going to bring on Dr. Karen Hills Pruden.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Dr. Pruden. Yes, I can hear you now.
I'm having a little bit of technical difficulty. I am technically literate today, but I'm here and I'm excited, and let's get this party.
Yes. So before we go any further, I would love for you just to introduce yourself before I jump into the interview questions.
Okay, great. Pruden. I am the Virginia Beach NAACP. I am also a local businesssolutions.com. But today I'm going to wear my community leader hat. And so let's talk about the things that are going on in the world that's also impacting our local community. So for today, I am the president of the Virginia Beach NAACP.
Yes, and I'm so honored that you were willing to have this discussion with us today on the Power and Grace Leader Show. We had you on before. I was able to interview you once before, so I'm excited that you're back with us during this time. So I want to shout out my cousin Monet Lachelle, your daughter. She said, "Hi, Mom." So my first question is, what is your position on what has taken place recently and other Black men who have died at the hands of police unnecessarily in these recent years?
Okay, recent, I'm assuming you're talking about George Floyd.
Yes.
I am hurt, just that anyone would be treated like that. And then my position is that Mr. Floyd was murdered. I feel like he was murdered. We had a situation where for 8 minutes and 46 seconds, people were filming around while Mr. Floyd was pleading and begging, additional 2 minutes and 46 seconds, when his body lay lifeless, the officer still was Sister Floyd. And so we have a situation here where Mr. Floyd was filmed publicly. Mm-hmm. And that's my thoughts in regards to that. In regards to the other individuals who have been impacted, I mean, we have a number of people who have been impacted. You have George Floyd, you have Philando Castile, Michael Brown Jr. Mm-hmm. I mean, you have, even Sandra Bland and recently Breonna Taylor. And so these individuals weren't afforded to be treated with respect, to have their day in court, or anything like that. And so I feel like that there is bias against people of color that appears to be displayed by some individuals in law enforcement. And I have to specify some because right. I'm not an all-inclusive individual.
Right.
I know it's a job, just like, and so I want to preface it with, there are some individuals in law enforcement who feels that it is acceptable to treat people of color with less dignity and respect than they treat individuals who are Caucasian. And so there appears who do not a presumption of innocence, which is supposedly where everybody starts from until they get their day in court. And I think it needs to, there's an overhaul, and I'm sure some of your other questions will touch on this. There needs to be some type of overhaul to look at in terms of that particular profession. But George Floyd was, where we all can see, and as a mother of an adult son and African male, I am very concerned about the future of any individual who comes in contact with law enforcement. And notice I said come in contact with, because you don't necessarily have to be arrested for something bad. You just have an encounter with the certain individuals who are in law enforcement, and it can go left, and next thing you know, there's some bad presented to somebody. So that's my feelings in terms of that.
Yes, and I love what you said, because it is the truth that there is two sides to how the engagement happens with reference to an African American and maybe a Caucasian American. And so taking time to really look into that. And then, like you said, they didn't get that opportunity to even have their day in court, which all of us are due according to our Constitution. But because things went beyond what was necessary in those moments, now these people didn't have that opportunity. And so I love that you made that point. Those points are so excellent and I love the fact that you said, taking the opportunity to be innocent. We are innocent until proven guilty. So where does that come into play as well? If you are approaching someone as if justice has already been served in regards to whatever matter, that also has to be taken into consideration as well. So I really love that you pointed those things out, and it's definitely something to consider. And so one of my questions, and Freddie Barron Sr. is up here right now, and one of my questions he just asked, so I'm going to jump to that question now. It says, what does the Virginia Beach NAACP advise the citizens of Virginia Beach to do right now? So what are some things that you would encourage us to do at this time?
Well, it depends. It depends on what and who are trying to make a statement of solidarity about either what happened to Mr. Floyd or what happens to various individuals who come in contact with law enforcement. There's a number you can approach that through voting. You can approach that through march, and I want to get deep into that, but you can approach it through marching, but you have to march with a purpose.
Right.
You have to march strategically. You have to march with a plan in order for that to be effective. And you have to know who you're trying to reach when you march. But marching, that you feel about that particular subject matter. Voting is the number one way, particularly on the local level. The turnout for local elections is very low. We seem to dismiss the power of our local elections, our district attorneys and different things, our sheriffs and different things like that. And so we dismiss, but if you go out and you vote for those individuals, you can put individuals in place who have shown or displayed a track record meeting all individuals. When you don't vote, then those individuals may be put in place who may not have the same values that you have in terms of dignity and respect for all individuals. So you certainly can do it through voting. You can do it through just having a public outcry of solidarity, but you also need to, if you're going to do the public outcry, you need to do that with a purpose, and you need to be very strategic in that.
Yes. That is so good. I love that so much. And when I went on my protest walk yesterday in Virginia Beach, that was one thing. Miss Sharon Felton was one of the ones who came up and spoke, as well as the Miss Pam who organized it. She talked about voting, how important voting is. And so I appreciate the fact that you brought that back up, because November will be here before we know it. Um, and I think it also speaks to the fact that we can't just vote during the presidential elections, but those other elections as well are just as important and just as vital. And I think through this moment, I hope that more people really see that and really come to understand that. And I mean, because that is important. Do they value the same things that we value? What has their character displayed? What has their conversation displayed? What has their speeches displayed that show that inclusiveness, that shows the appreciation of diversity, in justice as well, the care for justice, regardless of what background you are, that justice should prevail. And so I think that's very, very important. And so I'm glad you brought up marching, because that is one of my questions. So my question for you is, what are some of the appropriate steps that we need to take as we protest? And is it impactful? Can it really make a difference while we march? Because some people say, hey, we're marching for no reason, it won't change anything. So what can be the impact of actually marching, and how do we create to make sure we do it with purpose?
Okay. Yeah, you have to be strategic, and the first things you need to decide is, why are you marching? And really, it may sound like a dumb question, but my subsequent questions after that, you have to look at, why are you marching? Who are you trying to reach?
Right.
Who is it when you are on the street? Who is it that you're trying to reach? Is it legislators? Is it your local law enforcement? Is it the media? Whose attention is it that you're trying to get? So if you wanted to orchestrate a march, first you need to figure out why you're doing it. You need to figure out who you're trying to reach, and you need to figure out if marching reached them. You can get visibility with marches. This is true. However, we know, and we've seen on the media recently, that even the best organized march can be infiltrated by other individuals with ill intentions.
Right.
And so you need march. I'll just go down marching. You need to figure out who you want to reach. How are you going to reach them? How many people are going to show up? Is it going to be, do you need a permit? You don't need a permit if you're going to be marking down a sidewalk in front of, if you're going to be on a government property, in front of government buildings, public parks. But if you block the street, you need a permit to march in the street, because there's no constitutional cover that allow you to impede traffic and put the general public in an unsafe situation. And so you need a permit for that. Also, research has shown that if you get a permit, that there is fewer unlawful arrests during your event when you get a permit. Because what does a permit do? A permit lets the area know, the city, there is a planned march. Sometimes they'll even close off roads. They'll block off roads for you. They'll even have a presence out there for you. And a lot of times when people see a lot of people with ill intent, who
Right.
infiltrate your march. So those benefits you get from for getting a permit, they give you a specified period of time, and they're down there and they close down streets, and you can march in the middle of the street. So you may want to think about getting a permit, but it's not required. If you protest in front of government buildings or government properties or public parks, you want to figure out how you advertise, because on Facebook and then you don't know who is being shared to. And if you want to have a peaceful march heard, then if it's publicly gets shared and shared and shared and shared, then you may be inviting people with ill intent. And so you need to be careful about how you're going to be marketing your march. I mean, you can do flyers, you can do door-to-door canvassing, you can do social media, but just the bigger the avenues that you use for your march, the more likely it is that someone with ill intent are going to plan to be at your march to do something that may be counterproductive to what it is that you're trying to draw attention to. So you want to think about your marketing. Most important, you want to think about the roles of the individuals participating in your march. You have to have a point of contact, a decision maker. Who is the individual that's going to make all of the decisions? You need to have someone who's the point of contact for law enforcement. You need to have the person who you have designated to talk to the media. You just don't want you on CNN on behalf of your organization if you're doing a march. So identified as the person who is going to be talking to the media. You will have a liaison, which is the person who will be the conduit between the organizers and law enforcement. For instance, if you have someone doing something in a fight in the middle of your march, then you need to have a police liaison who can go over to where the law enforcement is, or be able to call them and say, look, we need you to come over here to this place to take care of this quickly, so that it doesn't have a domino effect throughout your protest. And so there are different hats that are worn during a march and a protest. Now, for your smaller marches, you can have one person wearing all those hats. But if it's individuals who have those very specialized roles, so that things can be done quickly and can be addressed quickly and systematically. Do marches and protests have an impact? Absolutely. But impact if what you intend is infiltrated by something that's counterproductive. And we've seen that on social media. I want to move into one of your other questions in terms of people doing things that they shouldn't be doing during the protest. Now, the attention has moved from the cause to the individuals.
Right.
And so I'm just going to leave that part, because I know that's one of your other questions you have as well.
Yes. And again, you gave us so much good information in what you just shared, in regards to organization, in regards to getting a permit, having the right people in place, if something were to happen, so that you can basically be prepared for all things. That way it is done well. And that's really the key, because in order for us to make the impact that is possible, we have to make sure we have things in place. And I think that's really good for those who are setting up marches to really think about and consider, and different things like that. I know the marches that I know I'm going to one tomorrow, and because it's at Mount Trashmore, it's going to be a little bit bigger. So I think my thought and my process would be, I hope they have all of these things in place, but it is a public park, so maybe they don't need a permit, but they may have some police on staff. But yesterday when I went to the march, it was really good. There were like 2 points of contact, and they had actually a microphone system set up, so that maybe 1 or 2 people were the ones on the microphone, and so it stayed very organized. And so that was really good. So I'm thankful that some of the things that you are even sharing, the march that I was a part of yesterday, were implemented. And so even when we got a chance to go before the police department, they said, hey, if you have any questions, think of your questions now. But we're going to talk. So they talked with them. The chief of police even came out, and that was really nice as well, because at first it was just the captain, but the chief of police said, hey, I'm on my way. Let them know I'm on my way. And he actually talked with us. And so based on our questions, he, gave us some answers. And then we talked about, okay, we want to meet, we want to talk further and different things like that. So the people there are now going to be even more inquisitive and asking questions and different things like that to follow up, because I think that's really the key. Things like this happen, it gets a lot of attention, and then it all dies down. But I think this time, hopefully, it will be different, that after this moment, it won't die down, but there will continue to be a discussion that happens. I know that's going to be my position now, that I want to continue to have this conversation as much as possible. So I am excited again for the fact that you're up here and you're talking with us, because you're giving us a lot of great information. I will read what Monet said. She said, it has to be more than just marching. We have to partake in monetary protests and learn to self-teach, self-police our communities. We need to know who is in charge and actively get involved regularly in all aspects of our community affairs. And I love that, because this is just one area, but it's, I mean, the impact of the danger of racism, the danger of difficulties with embracing diversity definitely spans far beyond even this moment. And so I think that's really good to get involved in even more community affairs. So I think that's really good, Monet. And then Freddie said, thank you. Thank you for your response. Love that you said you have to strategically respond or react with a purpose. And that is so, so true. So let's go ahead and get back to the question that you mentioned. Is there a danger in looting? Does it help or hinder the cause?
Apps danger. Looting is illegal. It is destruction of property, stealing. Both of those things are illegal. And if you want anything to hijack your cause, incidents of looting will hijack your cause. Just look at what's going on in the media, the talking of the looters and not the talking of the situation regarding George Floyd.
Right.
So if you want your cause to be hijacked, then let looting ensue, let destruction of property ensue. There is no place for intelligent dialogue when looting is in the midst.
Right.
Because looting will hijack illegal, and I don't condone anything illegal. I believe in fighting the power with the power. And when I say fighting the power, use their infrastructure, change of policy, change of individual, voting. I believe in fighting the power with their power and not doing it through illegal tactics. In terms of, it hinders the cause, because conversation is not about what it is that you set out to bring. Conversation is about the individuals who are, in fact, their crimes. They're committing crimes. So they take the conversation over from you, and that's not what any organizer want. So no, I don't condone looting. I don't condone no impact when you're trying to further your cause, because it takes time away from intelligent dialogue where you can work together with the powers to be to make change and regarding whatever it is that you are preaching about and marching about and protesting about.
Well, there we go. I mean, you could not have said it any better. I think that gets directly to the point. And because what I've heard in the community, just on social media, is the attempt to try to explain why people are looting and different things like that. But it is illegal. It is destruction of property. And there are even Black-owned businesses that are also being destroyed, even in the midst of this. And like you said, that it hijacks the cause. And so I think it's very important for people to be honest with themselves on whether or not this is right. If we're trying to get justice in regards to George Floyd, we also need to realize that justice doesn't stop when we want to make a point. We have to do it the right way so we can get the right attention so that we can make change happen. If we're doing it the wrong way, then it's not helping the cause. You're trying to benefit from this situation, and that's not good. It shouldn't be about that at all. So I love the fact that you said that, and it's illegal, period, like point blank. It's illegal. You're trying to get justice for one cause and taking illegal measures on the other. That's like just doing the wrong thing. Is completely contradicting what you're about. So I love that.
The opportunist.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
It's an opportunist. People who loot are opportunists, because if you wouldn't on any Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, go throw a chair through a glass and take the opportunity of when people are trying to draw attention to a particular cause. So yeah, you're right. Listen, I don't condone looting whatsoever. Yeah. And my heart on media, because graphics that's impacted by the looting is us, because it happens in individuals who open businesses in our neighborhood. And granted, not everybody businesses in our neighborhood, but these are some of the businesses that choose to open up in our neighborhood, and look what happens, because they chose to be in that neighborhood, they get looted, they get their property destroyed, and some of them may not come back, some of them may not come back.
Wow.
And so that in turn in the neighborhood.
Right. So I'm glad we got a chance to discuss that, because I think that's very, very important, because I feel like sometimes people are on the fence, but right is right and wrong is wrong. And we shouldn't be doing that. That's not the way to do it. So my next question for you is, what are your thoughts on changes that maybe need to be made in government and police policy? Because I think that's very important, because we want policy changes. I think that's how we'll know that things are in place, so that if something like this happens again, or not happens again, but something like this gets close to even happening again, it can be addressed. So what are your ideas on any type of government policies or police policies?
Okay. I'm going to look over here. I actually wrote it down because I want to stay on task, because there's a whole lot that I would like to have done, but I'm going to stay on the points that from NAACP national, what we would like to see happen. Okay. We would like to see a bill, a federal bill that's a federal bill that's similar to the hate crime bill. So we would like to see federal legislation that detail procedures and penalties for police brutality. Yeah. So that's one thing. We'd like to make sure that there's a citizen review board in every area and locality, and that they have subpoena power. We want to make sure that there are at least 6 steps with clear rules of escalation for this. We want knee holes to be just banned totally. Yeah. No knee. We want them to be banned. We want to review the agency State Open Ruckus Act to see if any officer misconduct information and disciplinary history, public to know about situations where officers have been disciplined. We also want to review police departments' records of disciplining or charging officers with misconduct. Information is generally not shared. And then we also demand a statewide tie it to their recertification credentials. Wow. So those are the things that we are looking to change in terms of government and police policy. All of the branches are going to be working with their localities to see if they have any of this. And if they don't have any of this, what is the likelihood that they can get some of this? But these are changes that we are putting forth from the NAACP, and we think the difference in the things that we see now.
Yes, those are excellent. I agree with those 100%. I think those would definitely give us the results that we need. And that's so important. I love the fact. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, and I just wanted to add one thing. I would like to see, my question is, Derek Chauvin, which is the officer that had his knee on George Floyd, he had a dozen complaints.
Yes.
2 of them he was disciplined. So my law sees is how many complaints are enough for the agency to determine that the officer just may not be fit to be an officer.
Right.
What is that guideline? Because we need to know, because in corporate America, you're not going to have 12 complaints. And you're not gonna get that opportunity. So why is it that in law enforcement that you have that spectrum so far for someone to have 12 complaints and be disciplined on 2? So I like to know what the bar is for law, where this is not the job for you, and how often does that happen? Know that Mr. or Mrs. Officer, based on the citizens' complaints, maybe this is not
right. I agree with that 100%. I was thinking the same thing when it came out that he had so many complaints. I was like, well, how in the world was he even in this position to be back out here on the field and then something like this happened? And so I agree 100% with that. And that was one of the questions that I asked when we went on the march yesterday, when we had a chance to ask the chief of police a question. One of my questions was, okay, what policies do you have in place in regards to when someone gets a complaint, or when also another police officer is seeing something happening that's inappropriate, that has gone too far? And he said there are policies in place. And so I know someone else asked the question, well, what is your policy in regards to basically other police officers being able to report other police officers without basically getting, thrown to the side or ostracized for speaking up in regards to maybe someone else in the police department? And so they said they have an anonymous way to do things. So I thought that was really good. They said they have a peer system in Virginia Beach at that precinct, where if they see something happening, they are required to also do something about it, which is what we did not see on that videotape. It was not the officers. We didn't see them saying, get up, stop doing that. He's saying he can't breathe. Like, we didn't see that engagement. It was crowd control rather than also addressing your peer who is doing something when this person is literally crying out for help. And so that is so, so important.
Yeah, let me just touch on that for a little bit. It's because the only person who can intervene with a police officer who's using excessive force, the general public. If the general public try to intervene, then now you're interfering in a police investigation, and you are probably subject to being hit over the head or shot yourself, because they don't know if you are trying to help the other individual or do something to the cop. And so in cases like that, the only hope that an individual has is for another police officer to step up. You know, and when the police officer don't step up, they fail the public, because the general public, a lot of times I hear people say, why are they filming instead of doing something? They can't anything.
Right.
Because if they do anything, they're subject to be the police officers, who have the power to interfere when they think when their brother in blue is doing something that's excessive. You know, our only hope once we're in custody, our only hope if we're ever in custody is for another police officer to save us. And right now they're failing us. They're failing us.
That's so true. And my husband and I, we were watching the video. That's the thing that we said too. It was like, if these other police officers don't do anything, there's nothing that these people can do. All they can do is cry out with the guy, stop, get off of him. Just like he's saying, get off of me. There's nothing else that we can do. They have a tool belt of weapons. I mean, they can just pull out a various number of things to use to stop us, but who is going to stop them? And so, like you said, that peer accountability is so important. Hey, stop. And I was so so, of course, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, you see things constantly. And so I've been looking at different protests, and there was someone on my Instagram page where there was a guy who was down on the ground being handcuffed, and an officer had his knee in his neck. And you literally see in that video this other officer that was also assisting picking this man's knee up and moving it out the way. And I was like, that's what we need. That is what we need. And so that encouraged me to see that, because like you said, it's not every officer in the world. It's some people. Some people.
Absolutely. And, let's not get it twisted. I am pro law enforcement.
Yes.
I am praise. I will be the first one to dial 911 when something cap off at my house. And I granted the majority of the people around you who have something to say will dial 911 when something cap off at their house.
Absolutely.
So, and I expect someone to call to 911. So I am pro law enforcement, but working in the business world for almost 30 years, I know that certain jobs that certain individuals should not be in. And I know that there are telltale signs that happen throughout their career to let their employer know not the job for that person. I just want it to be more stringent procedures and policy in regards to law enforcement, because someone shouldn't have to die before you determine this is not the job for you. The quick firing by the police chief, he knew finding this. It was so quick. But what about all the complaints that were had, at least by Mr. Chavon, all the complaints that were had against him? Why didn't someone say during that time, maybe this is not the job for you? Why does it have to be a death that prompts a firing? So I just want them to make sure that they have a culture where everyone is respected, regardless of the color of their skin or their gender or their sexual orientation or any other protected classes. Everyone is respected. But I also we have to think that a law enforcement individual see people at their worst. So you have to have a genuine love for people, even at their worst, even though you're looking at them at their worst. And I don't stick for that profession.
That's so good. That's so good. I just want to tell you again, thank you so much for this time that you have shared with us. This has truly, truly been an amazing interview. You have offered so much insight, so much understanding, and a fresh perspective, and definitely the understanding of the focus, the target, the new things that you all as the NAACP want to help implement, get in place, and kind of say, okay, let's do something. Let's be strategic. Let's see what can be done to really affect the way things are happening from the government level to the state level to the local level. And so I think that's really, really amazing. So my final question is, how can we connect with you? Because we see that you are very involved in this. You are very serious about this. And we would like to help you in what you're doing. We would like to help the NAACP. We would like to help the Virginia Beach chapter of the NAACP. And so how can we connect with you and you all so that we can continue to have these type of discussions and move forward?
Okay. We are beginning our virtual meetings. Of course, we've been impacted with our in-person meetings. This month, we're in June, we're going to have our first virtual meeting. So if you are not a member, then you can reach us via email at VB for Virginia Beach, NAACP at gmail.com, and then let us know that you're interested in joining the virtual meeting, the information, and so we'll send you the information to connect with us virtually. We're still having discussions. We can't afford to take a month off. They're still happening in our community. Also, we are we have November elections coming up, and so we want to stay in the forefront with the November elections to make sure that everyone is prepared to vote. I don't care who you vote for, but please vote. Use your right to vote. And I also want people to make sure that they know those are the things that we're working on: the census, voter registration. And then, of course, as we have these incidents that come up where individual civil rights have been infringed upon, they're on our forefront. We have, I've had quite a few people: Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, George Floyd. We have had a number of individuals. These are current. Those were the last, 3 high visibility situations.
Right.
The things that happen in your local area. We're not even talking about the things that happen in your local area that are reported to your local brand. I think it's important for everyone to be attached to an organization that's interested in how you're treated, in the individuals who are running your particular area. So I encourage everyone, if you're not registered to vote, register. It's like a bee in my bonnet when people say their vote doesn't. Your vote matters. Yes. Change. So register to vote. Yes. Fill out the census. Reach out to us, and we're meeting virtually, and then we're all clear, we'll meet in person. But right now, our job is to make sure that we stay safe, physically, and so we're meeting virtually.
All right. That sounds great. So definitely, I put the email up. Chrissy definitely said join NAACP. She is absolutely right. This is the email again. I'm sorry, I'm going to put it back up for everyone. This is the email again so that you can email. If you are not already a member, email, and then they'll be able to get you the information about the virtual meeting so you can get more involved. Now is the time to not just talk about it, but to be about it. That's what I am doing. We have to be all in to make these changes. And so I'm really, really excited about connecting with you more in the Virginia Beach chapter of the NAACP. I'm excited. I am ready to get more involved. So the thing that we do at the very end of the Power and Grace Leaders Show is say a quick word of prayer. So do you mind if I pray real quick?
Hey, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So, Father God, in the name of Jesus, God, we just thank you for today. We thank you for your faithfulness. We thank you for your love for us. God, even in the midst of everything that's happening right now, God, you are still the one seated on the throne. And God, we are asking, God, although there are moments where we feel like we're completely out of control, God, give us the wisdom, the direction, and the procedures necessary to help make this world a better place through the legislative system, the executive system, judicial system that we have in place and how America is run. God, we just honor you. We thank you for Dr. Karen Hills Prudent and all the work that she is doing, as well as her team and everyone that is a part of the NAACP. God, we pray, God, that you would just continue to encourage them as they move forward. And God, I pray, God, that we would be courageous, that we would be bold to get involved in what is necessary so that change can truly happen. God, we honor you, we bless you, and we praise you. In Jesus' name, amen and amen. So again, thank you so much. This has truly been amazing. You have been wonderful. You answered all of the questions and gave us even more. So we just appreciate what you're doing. We honor you as a woman in leadership on the Power Grace Leader Show. We definitely honor you for all the great things that you are doing. We thank you. All right, everyone. So we are all done for the day. Have an amazing day. Make sure you
Thank you for
share
having
this
me.
interview.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So make sure you share this interview so that people can be educated, empowered, and informed on how we can move forward. All right. Bye, everyone.